Welcome to Clean Up Your Health and Your Life with Elson Haas, MD. I'm Angela Murphy, your host for today's class, and I will introduce Dr. Haas in just a moment. Many of you, I'm sure, are very familiar with him and probably have some of his books. He's written 11 books, including Staying Healthy with the Seasons, The Detox Diet, Ultimate Immunity, and New Medicine, NEW, Natural Eastern and Western Medicine. Maybe we can get him to do a class on that sometime. He is still a practicing physician for over 40 years in Northern California, and he's seeing patients still in San Rafael and also in Sebastopol. So, and Dr. Haas has been teaching online classes now for 2 years, so he has an international following. We welcome Dr. Haas. I'm glad to have you here.
Yes, hello everyone. Welcome to 2020. I'm excited to be here with you doing my favorite stuff, which is clean up your health, clean up your life, get ready for detox. I've already started a good program. And feeling good, and I can already feel it shifted a little bit in my face. My hair is growing faster. I look at my hair is puffy, but I'm glad I have it anyway. So I've decided that in my 70s, I'm entering my 50s now in the 2020s, and partly it was just like, what's it take to stay healthy and stay young, and that's what I really want to share with you now. It really has, it's more up to you. Yes, we have our genetic potentials, but I think it's really important for us to take care of ourselves, and what we're going to talk about today, some level of detox, some level of seasonal eating, and really staying attuned to nature, and the 5 keys to staying healthy, which is we never hear enough of to really bring it back home, because so much of our health is up to us and not to other people and not to doctors. We can stay out of doctors. If you got my newsletter recently, my message was, I'm still practicing at 72 because I want healthcare to be fun, educational, and keep people out of the hospitals and out of surgery. Now, we still use the hospitals, we still use the system, but ideally we can really prevent that, and that's my focus is preventive medicine, if we take care of ourselves. And, if you start to have the beginnings of high blood pressure or pre-diabetes, or your cholesterol's high, or you're getting aches and pains, the process that we're going to be doing over the next few weeks, and including talking about today, will help reverse that. I see that all the time, helping people lower their blood pressure medicines, helping people lower their blood pressure and their cholesterol, and reverse the beginnings of blood sugar issues, where most doctors would just, put people on drugs and have them on drugs for the rest of their lives. And I think it's possible to delay that or prevent that altogether. So that's really what the whole process is. And I really want to get that to you deeply, is that, so much of our health is in our own hands. My message in my career of, almost 50 years now is, be your own best doctor. Use your physicians and your other practitioners to support you and keep you on the go. If you're getting massage, you're getting acupuncture, if you're seeing your cardiologist or your internist, just make sure you're getting, them to, to do the right things for you, the right tests, and just check and see where you're at. To me, that's really important. So let's talk about health and healing. In my book, The New Medicine, Staying Healthy with New Medicine, there's a whole chapter on healing and what that is, and how many levels it takes. I mean, healing is physical, mental, emotional, spiritual. It's really integrating us, and especially as we age, it's like, what is our purpose? What are we doing with ourselves? How are we serving the world? How are we getting supported? Everybody still needs to make money at some level, most people, and we still have to do that. And especially if we get past 30, then we're in our work years, and then as we get into our 60s, it's really we should be doing things that fulfill us. After 60 for me, I still love my clinic, and I love working, and I like writing, and I like teaching, so I've just continued on, and, hopefully we'll go on. I just talked to one of my associate staff today, and it's like, well, how much longer are we going to do this? Well, we're there for a while. I'm as busy as ever, and as excited about it as ever. So Angela, let's begin with some slides, and let me kind of share some ideas with you all, and then we'll have some time for questions and answers, toward the end. The title of this talk is Clean Up Your Health and Your Life. And that's at every level. That's cleaning your house, that's cleaning your body, that's minimizing, the toxins in your life. To me, health begins at a cellular level, and we keep our cells healthy by making sure we're getting good nutrition and getting all the nutrients we need, the vitamins, minerals, amino acids, fatty acids, and phytonutrients, more from plant-based foods. And we're limiting the toxins. So part of cleaning up our health is cleaning up our home and cleaning, using products that are less toxic for us, have less exposure, just being conscientious of it. It's good for you, it's good for the family, it's good for the neighborhood, it's good for the earth. So to me, that's where we start. And if we do that, get all the nutrients that our body needs and limit the amount of toxins we have, we're going to be able to stay healthy. So today's class is really about beginning anew, starting 2020, recover after the holidays. I want to really talk about seasonal health, the importance of seasonal nutrition, eating from nature. And I want all of you to really focus and work on and even write down your plan, your health plan for the new year. I've done that. I do that every year for me. So let's just interview you a little bit and just see where you're at. And so you can type your responses in the chat. We're going to rate yourself 1 to 10 on how do you feel right now, or just these days, let's say. It doesn't have to be right this moment, but are you tired all the time? Are you dragging, or do you feel wunderbar? So let's see how people are doing. I'm seeing some, oh, there's my first 6, 8. Oh, there's an 8. I saw a 9, but most people are 5 to 1. I have a 4.5. Okay. All right, so there's a mixture. I would guess the average is probably 5 in this group. Okay. During the holidays, did you indulge a lot? Did you put on a couple pounds, or did you eat pretty healthfully the whole time? Well, this is fun. I like this. Yeah, some people might have even fasted on Christmas and New Year's. All right, next question. Generally, overall, if you look at even the last year, is your diet, not really very good, or is it pretty healthy most of the time? All right. Well, this is much better. This is all right. So the holidays have undermined a little, a little bit, but I would say the average, what I'm seeing is, maybe 6 or 7 here. Okay. Next question is, in 2020, you want to feel you okay with how you're doing, or you want to be much better? Look at all those 10s. Wow, everybody wants to be better. Wow. All right, so that's a pretty much of a no-brainer. We all want to feel better. So here's, this is the apple orchard, which is no longer, so let's take a moment of silence for my apple orchard above there. It's now grapes. Grapes are pretty also. And, but this is, my friend Ernie Hubbard took all these different shots at different times of the year coming up to work with me. And you're seeing this kind of the seasons of the apples. And I live in apple country. But let's get into seasonal health and seasonal medicine. This is where I wrote my first book in the late 70s. I was studying Chinese medicine, I was studying natural medicine, and I've started to integrate that. The season changed so much me. Change is the only constant in the universe, some people have said. But I was inspired by Hippocrates, who wrote, "Whoever wishes to investigate medicine should proceed thus. In the first place, investigate the seasons of the year and what effects they have on us." And so that's where I started paying attention to 5 elements in in traditional Chinese medicine. And that's what the whole story is as you go through the season. So as we're moving in now, this is our kind of our winter time or cold weather detox program. And we have a springtime one, and we'll have a summertime one, and a couple are already posted up on my website if you want to follow through with those at a later time. But basically the concept is you eat what's available, and you live in harmony with the seasons. Um, this is an important message. I've had even doctors, very advanced integrated medicine docs and all that say, that message is really the most essential, important message in health, is to just eat from nature mostly. And that was my message in staying healthy with the seasons. The closer we get to nature, to the orchards and the gardens, the more vitality, enzymes, and nutrition we'll have in our food. So that's where fresh and vital. Seasonal eating is a way to balance our basically our body and with where we live. So if we're growing our garden, or we're shopping at farmers markets where people are bringing their produce to the market, that's where we're getting what's in season typically. And nature really gives us what we need. If it's cool, when it's colder all the time, like this time of year, we want foods that warm us. And that's typically why I don't, do a juice cleanse at this time, even though, if it's warmer days, I mean, people can do some juices during our program coming up. But, typically, when it's warm and sunny and hot and sweaty, we want things that cool us. We want more liquid foods. We want a little more fruits and veggies and salads. When it's colder outside, we want warm days. So, the juicier fruits, we can eat more raw foods and fresh green salads in the summertime. But in colder times of the year, we want to add more heat to our foods and eat what is more concentrated. So more protein and fats and simple foods. So grains and beans, animal proteins if you're eating that, spicy foods, cayenne, ginger, chilies, etc. Those are all ways to warm our body. So as this in review, seasonal eating is a key part of a healthy diet. Eating naturally, eating organically, shop and eat locally, and the taste of fresh foods is something to embrace rather than the strong foods or high sugar foods or basically junky packaged foods. We want to really keep our eat more veggies. I mean, my message is for people is to eat 50% vegetables. So eating close to nature is a way to get the best nourishment and the most vital foods. And as I mentioned before, every step away from the gardens and orchards is a loss of nutrition, enzymes, and vitality. So for each of us, it takes finding the right balance. So the program that we'll be doing coming up, where we're taking a couple weeks away from the substances and wheat and dairy and flour and sugar, caffeine and alcohol, etc., which is what I'll be guiding people in starting next week, is finding that right balance for each of us, because we have that process where we see what foods, really support us. So, we have a lot of concerns in the earth. My alter ego, Dr. Sun, is really concerned about what's going on the planet and, warming and changes that seem to be beyond the normal just rhythm of life itself. And, so we have to do some things. That's why we all have to pay attention to how we live and what we do, the amount of chemicals we use, the amount of plastics we're getting. How can we lower the pollution on the earth? So that's part of our lifestyle program and part of our diet too. So, this is a different approach, is how do we support ourselves within? So as we move into winter, that's a little more time. I mean, we're in winter, let's say we're in the colder time. It's a time where we ideally should get in bed earlier. We should get a little more rest. We could stay in bed a little longer in the morning. The nights are still dark, even though we're past the equinox, or the solstice, I mean, and, it's time to, kind of pay attention to that and protect ourselves. One of the things I see, I'm seeing a lot of people who are sick, a lot of people who are going to gatherings, parties where other people are sick. And, even in my office, some people are, passing around some cold and, bronchitis issues. So it's important. Sometimes it may be worthwhile just staying home, And it's like, no, I don't want to go to a public event because there's enough people sick that my exposure might be there, and I don't feel like my immune system is strong. I think there's a lot of ways we can get into, talking about how to keep our immune system healthy. I wrote about that in my Ultimate Immunity book with Sandra Barrett. But we want to do that in mind, body. We want to really protect ourselves. We want to make sure we're nourished. If we start getting overly involved in sweets and alcohol at parties, it can be an issue. Wintertime, we want, the flavor is salty. The fish and seaweed can be healthy nutrition for you if we can get them, healthier and not from polluted areas. But the ocean itself is getting more and more polluted, so we have to be cautious of that. That's why a variety of foods and a balance in the diet. But again, in winter we want more, warming foods, soups, casseroles. Grains and beans, nuts and seeds that give us a little more oil and fuel. So we want to, balance our salt. Salt supports the kidneys and bladder and the water system and the emotions, but too much can throw us off, can weaken the kidneys and lead to issues. That has to do with the kidneys have to do with our general vitality, and this is time where we go deep and we pull the energies we need going forward in spring. So it's really a good time to nourish ourselves well, get plenty of rest, and exercise. We'll talk about exercise in a minute, but how we handle that through this time of the year. Okay, take a breath, everybody, or I need to. Okay. All right, so now I want to just go into the 5 keys to staying healthy. To me, this is the way that we maintain our health and protect our health and even improve our health. And I would suggest all of you, if you haven't, to look on elsonhaasmd.com, my website, and there's a free assessment for the 5 keys to staying healthy. And look at what your areas are. And as we go through the 5 keys, nutrition, exercise, stress management, sleep, attitude, just pay attention to where that's at for you. And if there's a weak area there, where can you focus and improve? Okay. All right. So here's a simple 5 keys to staying healthy: nutrition, exercise, stress management, sleep, and healthy attitude. So just remember those, my acronym, well, because if we don't have healthy, we just have attitudes, and it's NESA. All right. So first one is nutrition. We've talked a little bit about that already. And basically, food is our body's fuel. How do you feed yourself? How do you fuel yourself? So whatever we eat, is our diet. So we don't have to go on a diet. We have to just shift our eating plan. So if we don't like the word diet, which I tend to stay away from, then we just have to focus on our eating plan. And as we just talked about, the more foods we eat locally, fresh foods grown in nature, and vary with the seasons, basically. So earth is your best shopping area to shop. Ideally in your own gardens if you have time and energy to do that, and you can do that on your deck, on your terrace, or in your backyard if you have one. So just try and do that, and if not, go to farmers markets regularly and support the local farmers in your area. All right, so let's exercise. I want to take this, so leave this on for a little bit, Angela. And so we want a regular and consistent program, and exercise is really the key to managing stress and keeping our energy and vitality going. But a good balanced program includes some cardio activity for endurance, and health, some stretching for flexibility, some weight training, some weight work for strength and relaxation. All these lead to relaxation, and it's good if you have support. If you're not self-motivated, find somebody to go for hikes with, or to join the gym with, or to do a detox with. But be outside and get some fresh air and sunshine. And it's key is to stay consistent. So part of it is that we want to have a varied. I'm just going to be posting my 10 tips for fitness that I'm writing. I'm not quite complete with them yet, but includes these different aspects of a healthy program. So if you're mainly someone who likes to go walking, you should do so ideally some weight work. Get some 5 or 10 pound weights for your upper body, or do yoga, which can and downward dog and other poses like that that can help strengthen your upper body. You want to keep, especially as we age, we want to keep our muscle mass good. We want to keep our protein levels up, to support that. But as we get to the colder climate, and I also suggest that you don't just have one thing you do. I see patients all the time who what they do is they either, bike, which is pretty good, or they just run, but they don't do any upper body work. And, when it's wet outside or it's too cold, then they don't do it. So it's important that you have a variety of indoor and outdoor exercise. And you do, as it gets into the warmer, nicer days and longer days, you do more outside stuff. And as it's colder and damper in the winter time, or in any cold climate, that you have things you can do inside, whether that's videos that you go along with, or it's a yoga class, or joining a gym, going to different classes. I mean, I do 7 to 10 hours a week. I do some spin classes. I play racquetball some. I do weights 4 or 5 times a week. I do stretches every day. I do energy and martial arts, 8 elementals exercise. I do that separate from going in my 7 to 10 hours. I do that every day outside in the backyard, or sometimes inside if it's poor weather. All right. So again, good time for a breath. What helps with stress? Exercise, probably as good as anything. Relaxation, massage, meditation, all these things, but learning how to handle our stress and not take them on. We have challenges, all of us have challenges, whether it's just in the world, or it's in our relationship, or it's in our finances, or worries, or hassles, legal hassles, or accidents, or whatever. We all have these stresses, and we need to learn how to handle that. We're not trained in our culture how to handle stress early on in life. That should be a course. We should have a course in the 5 keys for 6-year-olds, in school, and home economics, and whatever level. To me, it's even more important than studying history, or, and other topics. So it's really, how do we take care of our body? And maybe that's up to me to write more for kids and get that out there. But I think that's really important. Love to see a TV show for children that really helps educate them in a fun way and motivates them, because when you do things that way, there tend to be better results. So we want to approach things. We want to learn how to communicate. I have a section, one of my favorite sections in the New Medicine book is called The Art and Practice of Peacefully Not Getting Along. Most of us are good when where everything's going smoothly and we're getting along, but when we have a struggle, or we have an issue, or we have a misunderstanding with a loved one, or at work or something, that eats us up a lot. It stresses us, it affects our sleep, and we want to learn how to handle those kinds of things. And so if you can learn some mindfulness training, or do, Tai Chi and yoga, some relaxation, that will help. Get out and run, get out and hike in the hills. Nature is one of the great healers, so if you're out in nature, you're going to be able to have some improvement in that way. Okay. All right, great sleep. Now, we did a class on sleep. I have a video up on YouTube, and I think on my website, called Healing Sleep, and it talks all about the aspects of sleep. But just here, a few comments here is important. We need sleep to stay healthy, to keep our energy up without having to do too many stimulants and sedatives to get through the day. If we get better sleep, we'll need less caffeine and sugar, probably, for many people. So it's a good way to just recharge and relax our body, and to help support the healing, keeps our immune system healthy. It's a way to get energy. So one of the programs I have on my website is Regain Your Natural Energy, and it's a guided week getting away from stimulants and sedatives. And I have a discussion about what the stimulation sedation syndrome is, a name I've coined based on all my teaching and lecturing around the country on detox. And most people most people are using substances to get through their day. They're using caffeine and sugar to get going. They're using alcohol and cannabis and things like that to calm down at night. And we don't do that in balance. We, either don't have the energy we want, so we have fatigue, or we have insomnia. We're not sleeping well. That also ties in with anxiety and depression. Those are the four common issues that I see in practice. Almost most people have some level of that. And I think when we clean up our habits and get ready, and that's one of the things we're going to do starting this coming week, when we clean up our habits, we're going to get better sleep, we're going to have a better energy, and we're going to be able to be less dependent on things. We also need to watch out for sleep, about electromagnetic exposure, TV, computers, iPhones that, you sleep with. Some people, are working on their iPhones through the night. It's really important. And there's a lot of natural things. And in my video, Healing Sleep, there's lots of natural things. There's lots of medicines that can be used. But, good part, nearly 50% of the country have sleep issues. I'm actually just listening to a CME report or lecture on sleep right this morning. I was listening to that. So there's everybody's different. Some people say he needs some coffee, and then getting good sleep is really crucial. So a lot of the country is sleep deprived, and you should look at where your status is. The most common issue is a lot of people, especially the younger people, fall asleep okay, but I know younger people have a tendency to not fall asleep okay because it's too early, or they're anxious, especially school kids who have to get up earlier than their own natural cycles do. And then elder people tend to be able to go to sleep all right, but they wake up several times either to pee and, or their mind, or their worry, or they're just, there's nervousness. So it's important. There's a lot of natural things you can use to help fall asleep or to help go back to sleep in the middle of the night. Last night I was up at 4, I went to bed about 11, took some Zen, which is theanine and GABA, and then I read for about half an hour, and I closed my eyes, went back to sleep for a couple more hours. Really nice sleep, and felt really good when I woke up. So that, that's not uncommon for me to get up in the middle of the night. I saw my dad do that often, and really common when I interview patients. So attitudes is one I added. That a lot of health writers who talked about the keys to staying healthy don't include, but it really is important. It's really number one, and it's part of the to me the maybe most important. It overrides all the other ones. When I did my first cleanse back in 1975. I started to feel really good, and my allergies cleared up, and my head was clear, and my energy was better, and I dropped 20 pounds. I said, wow, this is pretty cool. I want to know more about this. But really what I realized, maybe not, for till 10 years later, is that, my attitude shifted to my body and to my health. At one time I didn't know anything about it, and I started to really feel like, this is the only body I have. I have to treat it with love. So I started to then, when you have that attitude, you easily start to eat better, you start to exercise, you take time to sleep. As this middle comment says, you learn to manage your stress, and you learn to deal in relationships, because relationships are where we get challenged the most, but where we grow the most. Sometimes illness is where we get challenged the most and where we grow. We have to learn, or what's out of balance. So if I've been an integrative medicine practitioner for most of my career, and a term that I actually, kind of started using back in the early 80s, it has a different question. When we don't feel well, we don't immediately say, what can I take to make this go away? An integrative medicine approach is you ask a different question. Body, what's out of balance here? What do you need for us to get back healthy again? So to me, embracing, I feel very blessed to be, doing what I do and have my health, at this age. And I think it's a result of all the years of my cleansing and detox and my exercise and feeling, an attitude of gratitude. I wake up every day and I feel, wow, this is another day. I feel blessed to be here. I feel blessed to do what I do. Can I help people? and I try and do the best I can. So my motto, in my 70s, even earlier, was keep love in my heart, say yes whenever I can, but be able to say no. So we all have boundaries. Right now, I'm on a program where I'm not eating after 8 o'clock at night. It's really not easy for me. But I'm also eating about a third of the amount of food I was eating the last few months. And that's my beginning detox. And that's for this month in 2020. I'm dropping 20 and I'm, feeling, 20 years younger. So that's really good. And I've already can feel it in my face a bit. And I also can feel it, in my overall well-being. So those are the 5 keys to staying healthy. Uh, Again, if you have any questions about that, we can get into that at the end. Uh, Take the class, take the questionnaire. It's a health assessment called 5 Keys to Staying Healthy on elsonhaasmd.com. And you can send us your results or send us a note about what you look at. But be aware of most of right now where your weak area is. For a lot of people, it'll be exercise. For some people, it'll be stress management. Some people, it'll be sleep. But all of you can shift your attitude. Your attitude has to do with what goes on here. What is that self-talk? Are you undermining yourself? Are you being negative? It's easy to be negative right now. I've had people ask me, Elson, how can you go to sleep happy and wake up happy every day? I said, well, because I live in a state of denial and I don't watch the news. So that's not totally true because I see all the troubles going on. I even have my phone send me, CNN headlines, every day. So, I'm aware of what's going on, but ever since I've been watching this for the last, 40 years, there's always stuff going on. There's always murders. There's always kidnappings. There's, fights. There's fires. There's earthquakes. There's floods. There's never not. I mean, when it hits home, yes, you have to act on it much more. But it's always going on in the world. My son was hiking in Nepal when the earthquake happened 5 years ago. He's there working still. He's helped. He saw what happened to the country, and he was motivated to help create that. Create some support and help make bricks and build and have a community now up above Kathmandu that's helping people rebuild, and it's really wonderful. I'm really proud of what he does. Orion Haas, he's on Facebook and it has this consciousimpact.org website, and it's very, very cool. And it's not a money-making big job, but it's something that is really fulfilling. And so there's so much we can do, but we start with ourselves. If we don't take care of ourselves, we can't really help anybody else. So that's been my message as a doctor, and I work with people in a cooperative way to help them improve their health so that they can do more. Back in my early days when I was doing a lot more body work and sound and acupuncture and getting people feeling good, they had this energy going through, and when they got off my table, they said, wow, I feel great, and I have less pain, and my blah. I said, okay, but that's great. What are you going to do with that energy now? If you go back home, if you still go back and fight with your husband or your wife, or you get your kids, you get frustrated, you have to kind of shift it and do it. So and I think looking at people's whole lives, looking at yourself, when I first started practicing in the country, I was like, if you want me to be your doctor, I'm going to come to your house. I want to see what you're doing. I want to look in your refrigerator and your cupboards. People didn't like that so much, but to me, it was a valuable way for me to find out how this person was living and what effects their choices had on what they were buying. I've seen people in grocery stores. I can look at their body and look at what's in their cart and say, okay, well, that makes sense. It's not rocket science to figure out what we need to feed ourselves to get the body we want. But once we're overweight and we're aging, it's harder. I mean, I see people all the time, women more than men, who have 30 pounds on, especially after menopause. They're looking at, they try and diet, they go low calorie, they go to the gym every day. It's hard to shift it sometimes, So, but getting away from the substance and watching your food, reactions. We just did a class, the last one was on false fat, looking at food reactions and weight. On my website and also my clinic at pmcmarin.com, there's an article called Purification Process. And that's what we'll be looking at for next week, is just really, how do we clean up our diet and watch how we feel, see what improves. I think 50% of people's issues or more start to get better when we just go on an elimination diet and get rid of the things that we're overdoing in our body or things that we're reacting to. Oh, here we go. Okay, so here's now time for you. Here's what I want you to really think about it and write down your plan. You know, I'd love to see all of you back next week and join a supportive detox group. If you make a commitment to yourself and you make a commitment to the group, you will do it, I can assure you. So your 2020 health plan, what are you going to do? What are your commitments? What are you willing to do? Because just like exercise, one of my slogans for exercise is the best exercise is the one that you'll actually do. The commitments you make to yourself are the things that you can actually follow through on. So it's not about, I want to lose 20 pounds in the next 20 days. It's more like, I'm willing to take these actions. I'm willing to do this. So make them very specific. If you look in new medicine, we talk about lifestyle. There's a smart approach to goals. Where you have to, make measurable, realistic, goals for yourself so that you can follow them. So next, after your commitments, is work on the 5 keys. Your lifestyle is your first place that you make changes in. Like my motto in medical practice is lifestyle first, natural therapies next, drugs last. But for many people who come in ill, it's drugs first. It's adding some natural remedies that might support them and help lessen the amount of drugs they need. And it's also working on lifestyle. But if you start with your lifestyle, you'll need less medicines, I can assure you, over the course of your life. So we just talked about the 5 keys. So keep your attitude positive and just know that you can do it. And you don't set yourself up for failure, set yourself up for success. And it starts with your healthy attitude and loving yourself and taking care of your body every day. And if you mess up one day, you come back the next day and do it. And find that level of peace within you so that you're, happy. Now, not everybody is living the life they want or doing the things they do or has the job they want or the relationship they want. Look at that honestly. Don't be drastic about it, but just, find who am I? What do I want to do right now? What's my path? And that's really crucial. Now, some of you have been in my programs before, you can certainly know how to follow through on a detox, but my 45 years now, 44 years of doing guided detox program, it's the most valuable thing I do in my whole career. I've written nice books. My books have helped a lot of people, at least the reports I get back from them, but this is different. This is like really transformational. Let's think of, we're going to do a transformational process. You're at point A, okay? That's where you're at. And that's why I want you to assess yourself so you can see that. What is point B? That is your goal. The commitment is this path from A to B. It's really a type of transformational medicine. When you being your doctor, I'm your guide and support person, as is everybody in the group. But your program is going to help you get from point A to point B. Now, if you say, I want to lose, 30 pounds, it's going to take, depending on what your B place is, where your goals is, it's going to be, based on how long it will take and how hard it will be, or is it even realistic? So that's where in setting up your goals, you want to be realistic about it. You want it to be attainable. You want it to be, something that you can do, basically. So that's part of the key. And I would encourage all of you, if you're not, part of the group, you'll see how we'll work. And the Zoom platform is so great. I just really love teaching here in my dining room, and it's really an easy way. I didn't have to go anywhere. Back early in my career, I was, doing lectures and traveling and doing that. I would be leaving and going to the airport twice a month often, and going different places. It was fun. It was good. Uh, but times have changed. Just like when I was first writing books in the 80s, 1981, Staying Healthy with the Seasons came out. People got 80% of their information from reading, from buying books, going to bookstores. Now it's probably less than 10% of people get their information from buying a book. So it's a whole different change. So the educational part of it is really crucial. So to me, as I said, working with you and working with people in groups, I find that it's just so much more successful, even than one-on-one. Like I might sit across from a patient and say, I really, need to have you, start exercising. Let's look at your diet. Let's see what you can do. I think you should do my detox diet program, or I think you should do get off, caffeine and alcohol. When's the last time you took a coffee break? I saw several people this week who's like, they've been 30 years, they've been drinking 3, 4, 5 cups of coffee a day, and that some of them are okay, but some of them have issues related to that. Because if you look in my detox diet book, in any of the substance chapters, the snacks, SNACC, sugar, nicotine, alcohol, caffeine, and chemicals, there are issues that come from all those different substances. So that's, to me, a place to start. So a lot of people just don't just consider it as part of their daily life, and they don't look at it. But to me, I want healthy relationships, so your relationship you have to an activity or to a substance is part of it. And how can you undo that and just come back to yourself, and it allows you to assess what that relationship is doing, whether it's good for you or bad for you. Some of us have been in bad relationships in the past where it's very frustrating, but we're not even aware how, destructive it is for us until we have a break, from that person, and then we feel that freedom, and then when we come back and are exposed to it again, we're more aware of it. That's the same, about food. Certain foods may be undermining our health, and then we need to, when we take a break, something feels better, and then we come back to that food, it feels not so good again, or that symptom comes back. And so that's part of the process we're going to do in the winter detox. We're eliminating certain things. All of us will do, not everybody. I don't have one set thing. The way I teach and the way I work with people on my detox programs is to give you the right information so that you decide what you want to do yourself, and you're going to make a plan. You're going to make a commitment to yourself. We have all these different handouts and support material for you to get through in a good way. Some of you have done those programs before. Maybe when we go into questions, you can share what your experience was. So anyway, let me stop here, and we can take some time for questions. Angela, if you want to handle that, that would be great.
Sure. If anyone has a question for Dr. Haas, you can either type it in the chat, which someone just did, or if you raise your hands, we can call on you and you can ask him live. So yeah, we've got a couple of questions. So Jerry, how about if I give you the mic and you can ask the question you just did live. So you can I can unmute you.
Hi, Elson.
Hey
what is Somnofan? One of the participants said Somnofan is a supplement you can take at night to help.
Somnofan is one of my favorite sleep formulas. That's a combination of tryptophan, GABA aminobenzoic acid, or butyric acid, and melatonin. So it's helpful for sleep onset. The tryptophan is a builder of serotonin, and the GABA helps calm the brain and the active mind. So now I'm not sure if the company that was producing that. So there's similar formulas out like that have a combination of herbs. And my healing sleep video goes into all that stuff. And also my new medicine book has all that listed. There's a number of natural things that help with sleep. For someone with really bad insomnia, they might need some supportive, prescription medicines for a while to help them get the sleep they need. Because if people have more than a couple days of poor sleep, they just start to get edgy and stressed, and they're not very helpful. Thank you.
All right, Carol just asked a question in the chat too. Carol, I'm unmuting you. You can ask your question live.
Happy New Year. Sometimes I crave like what I'm addicted to, and I'm wondering if you have any suggestions for that, i.e. sugar.
Well, it depends what it is, but yeah, and that's really common. I mean, some people who started doing more advanced allergy work initially has found out we're really allergic or, habituated to certain things. So we crave what we're sensitive to. We crave what our body's detoxifying. Like, so if you're a smoker and you stop smoking, or you're using caffeine, you start to feel those things. Some things like, alkalinizing the system, doing my detox diet. You've done that before. A lot of times that helps reduce those cravings. If it's sugar and alcohol, amino acid glutamine can help with reduced cravings. And I'm sitting there, it's like, for me, it's not maybe just a food. It might just be an activity. It's like, I have to have a cookie at night. I have to do this at night, So me, I'm after 8 o'clock at night, I'm used to like, watching a favorite TV show and, crunching on some granola or, whatever. And I'm just like, okay, no, I'm not doing that now. So I'm just finding other things to do. A lot of times it's replacing it with other behaviors. So those are a couple ideas for dealing with cravings, but usually they pass. I mean, once you get away from it for a while, everything is a little bit. People, when they get off sugar, it takes a couple days to kind of get away from it. Then you start to feel more balanced energy. People getting off coffee, it's similar. It takes 2 or 3 days. You might feel bad for a couple of days. Nicotine's harder. That the withdrawal and the cravings last years, forever for some people. So that's where we go. Thank you.
How much water should you drink?
Water. My basic suggestion: if you eat a lot of fruits and vegetables, and during warmer climates, you need more fruits and vegetables, water content foods. You need less. There's a lot of factors: time of the year, your own body, your diet, the climate. So I typically drink a couple glasses in the morning before any food, and a couple glasses later morning, like a little bit before lunch and dinner. So I say 6 to 8 glasses, for people who are eating a fair amount of veggies. And so also, if you're trying to drop weight, it's a good way to hydrate so that your body's flushing toxins, number one, and two, you have less cravings. You don't eat as much when you are hydrated. I suggest people don't drink a lot of fluids when they're eating, because I think that dilutes the digestive juices and we don't digest as well. Okay, thanks, Carol.
The alkaline water.
Yeah, alkaline water, we won't get into that right now.
Okay.
I'm not sure it does that much. Alkaline diet, I think, does more. Okay, anybody else?
Thanks for those questions, Carol. Gigi, you are now unmuted.
Yes, hi. Thank you so much. Hi, good morning, good afternoon.
Good to see you.
Hi, my question is, you had mentioned the importance of eating seasonally. So what advice would you have for someone like me who lives in a climate where the seasons are so chaotic? Literally, one day it's 30 degrees, the next day it's 70 degrees.
Well, you still have your natural cycle of what foods are available. So it's hard you can't shift every day, but certainly on the 30-degree days, you better have something more warmer. And on the 70-degree days, you can have a big salad. So where are you?
I live in Georgia.
In Georgia, okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm coming to Tallahassee pretty soon. I'll be real close to Georgia.
Yeah, so the climate is not much different. Georgia's
Right.
not much different from Tallahassee,
Yeah,
but the weather here is so inconsistent. It needs its own therapist. But so on those days, like I said, we have those days where it's really freezing cold and then it's warm, and sometimes
part of the cyclical activity is the amount of light and dark. So right now we're at a darker time of the year, so we want we're inside more. We want more fuel, even if it's a nice day. Like I'm in Northern California. We have some nice days. It warms up, but it still gets, in the high 30s, 40s at night. So, and it's, we have to be indoors at 6 o'clock, so. You adapt it. It has to do with the light and dark cycle, and it has to do with what nature provides you. So I still would say with those basic principles.
Okay.
Then thanks for joining us. Gigi, you are?
Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, thanks.
Thanks for those questions, Gigi. Lisa, you are now unmuted.
Hi, can you hear me? Oh, okay. I'm new to Zoom. I had kind of two questions. You talked about false fat, and I wondered if there was a way you could tell the difference between false fat and visceral fat, and also
A little louder, Lisa.
the difference between false fat and visceral fat. Can you tell looking at your body?
Yeah, thanks for the question. False fat is basically water. It's basically bloating and swelling that comes from eating reactive foods. It's partly inflammatory. It's partly our protection from inflammation. Visceral fat is stored in the belly, deep. It's deeper in the belly, and that's probably more risky weight. That's more risky fat. So, but when you're on a program that limits, some of the foods that you're reactive to, that's what I'm working on right now with my lighter eating, is getting rid of my visceral fat and getting rid of my false fat. So, so that's the basic difference. Yes, false fat is more water retention and bloating and swelling that comes from reactive foods, and visceral fat is fat that's in the belly that we put on over the years and decades.
But if you're looking at your own body, can you tell? Can you physically know if it's visceral or water weight? Water weight and tissues.
Well, you can tell usually if you lie on your back and you play with your, push on your belly, you can tell what kind of fat you are. There are scales. There's also, I had for years BIA, a bioimpedance analysis machine that actually measured that. There are scales. I have one in my office that we measure people who are going on a weight program. And I'm working on a new weight loss program that I'll be publishing in, this year. It will actually measure you. It's an electromagnetic, and you kind of goes through your body, and you hold on to a couple bars, and you put your feet on the scale, and it measures your water, your water content. It measures your visceral fat. I don't know how it does that exactly, but it says it does. And so when I track people who are losing weight, I want to make sure they're losing fat and not muscles. It also gives you muscle mass and water retention. Those are not that expensive to get, and it's a way to anybody who's working on a weight reduction and weight management program. That's a good thing, to invest in. I think they're probably under $100, and they're very cool scales to use.
Thank you. The second part was, I have no desire for sugar, but I'm totally addicted to salt. Salt. I crave salt all the time. Do you know any nutritional reasons why that would be, or is that just a habit?
No, I mean, everybody tends to have, some people like soft and gooey foods, some people like crunchy foods. Everybody has their own technique, their own issues. So tune into that a little bit. We mentioned salt with winter and all that, but you're craving it year round, right?
Oh, yeah.
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 So, and you've had your blood work done to measure, look at your, your chemistry and your sodium, potassium and all that?
Yep. Yeah. It's in range.
Yeah, if you can get some potassium chloride and start using that, see if that satisfies you a little bit, because sometimes there's a sodium potassium imbalance that makes you crave it. But, have you had blood work run recently?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah, it's probably okay. It may just be your nature. If you go back to the more metaphysical aspects of sugar and salt, in Chinese medicine, they say, at least I read in some of the older scriptures, that when you're craving sugar, that means you want your mother. You want to be nurtured. You want to be told everything's going to be okay. When you crave salt, you want more of a father direction. You want it's a little more yang. You want to be guided. You want to be strengthened.
Fascinating. So, yeah. Thank you.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for those questions, Lisa. Rebecca, you are now unmuted.
Hi, Dr. Haas. I was wondering for the people who do your winter detox, what you might do to help people with symptoms like headaches from caffeine withdrawal or something like that?
Usually a good hydration and extra juices can be done. Yeah, people really, if they need to, it's usually short-lived. It's usually a day or two at the most for a typical person, and not everybody experiences that. You know, if you need to do Advil or aspirin or Tylenol, then you do your favorite just to get through the day. But a lot of times when you alkalinize, you can do like baking soda, a little baking soda, or buffered vitamin C powder, which during the class I'll go through. I have a whole list of supplements that we can use. There's some vitamin C powders you can get easily that have potassium and magnesium and calcium in them, and they help buffer the body and can help a little bit with that.
Okay, very good.
All right, thank you for that question. Thanks for that question, Rebecca. We have about 2 minutes left and 3 questions. So Ed, you are unmuted. Oops, I think Ed disappeared. Are you there, Ed? Okay, his question he typed in was, you never mention a sense of humor and laughing and its role in staying healthy. Do you have any thoughts about that?
Oh, sure. That's part of a healthy attitude. If your attitude is good and you're loving yourself, life is going to be more fun in general. So yeah, no, laughter is great, and enjoying yourself, doing things that you really make you feel good. I mean, that's part of it. Some people it's going out in nature and hugging the trees. Some people it's going to a movie, yeah, go out and have fun. But also, be aware of your neighborhood and the people around you and what they need. And, I mean, if we watch the news and we're concerned about what's going on in the world, we're going to be depressed all the time. So, we have a choice somewhere in between there is kind of a healthy lifestyle.
All right, thanks for that question, Ed. Nancy, you just posted a comment, but would you like to share that? You're unmuted.
Oh, sure. Yeah, no, I've done the detox on my own over the last 6 or 7 years, many times, and I've actually incorporated in my daily life both waking up and I only do 1 glass once I start going of water, but it's the first thing I do when I wake up, and it has been such a game changer for me. I drink a lot of water in general, but doing it first thing on waking just really wakes me up and makes my body feel instant.
That's great. Now my first glass of water, I have some water, and then I make a little drink that has a power pack, which has got vitamin C and B's and trace minerals in it. Then I do liquid trace minerals, and I do a couple drops of vitamin D, and usually just, like 3/4 water, maybe a splash of juice or lemon. And that's my morning kind of nutrition support.
Oh.
So that's something I have a lot of patients on too.
That sounds great.
All right, thanks for sharing that, Nancy.
Mm-hmm.
We have one more question from Gina that she asked that I read. She said, if you already have diabetes and kidney issues, can you reverse the damage?
It's not as easy to do that, but you certainly can improve your health. Yes, I can think you can start to reverse it. Whether you can cure it or not, it's harder. So, it's harder to do prevention after things have already occurred. But you certainly can improve your health and vitality and your weight if that's an issue as well. So, I think, I think there's definitely, you're never too old to make the changes that can improve your health. And that's, really part of the message. And whether you're 50, 60, or 70, I've seen people just transform their health and start to feel better, use less medicines, have improved blood pressure, improved cholesterol, improved blood sugar. So, give it a try.
All right, thank you for that question, Gina. And I want to thank everybody for joining us today. And thank you, Dr. Haas. This has been wonderful. And I did share the link to the Winter Detox, which starts next Saturday at the same time. And you will also get a link to it in the email where we share the link to this recording. So we hope some of you will choose to join us. And we're offering the early bird discount through tomorrow. Then that's it. Then it's back to full price starting Monday. So if you want to join us, take advantage of that. So thank you, Dr. Haas.
Yeah, thank you, everybody. And I'd love to see as many of you as possible who can join us next Saturday. And also, if you have friends, I think they'll get a link for this class. If you want to share that with anybody wants to watch it, feel free to do that. It would be great. The more people we can touch with healthy lifestyles and, and good, improving health, the better our world will be. And, again, we're going to have a good time in the 2 weeks, January 18th to February 1st. So, get ready for that. You know, you can start now too. You can start cleaning up some stuff this week. You know, I'm already on it. I'm going to continue all the way through this month into February, and then you know, I'll see. Then I have to make, all right, what are my commitments now? What am I willing to do? I can't go back to just the way I was eating before, even though it was pretty healthy. It was too much. I need to eat half the amount of food. That's what I've become aware of. You know, the process will help you tune into, you know, what do you need to do on a long-term basis to maintain the improved results that you most likely get. So I hope you'll join us, and we have fun doing these. And Angela's great. I appreciate you, Angela, for all your good work. And thank you, everyone. Have a great weekend, and talk to you soon.